Hello and good evening, everyone. We made it another weekend down. And hey, we got a super chat already. Wow, thank you. Let's go ahead and knock that out. Let's see here. I have a question. Detailed objects like concrete, carpets, grass, clouds shift into figures with wings and creatures with scary faces. Is that clairvoyance? Or is that also called scrying? Technically, we can knock scrying out because scrying would require control over it if it's happening at random. Though you may be tapping into the same facilities of scrying, it's not technically about scrying. Um, my old instructor actually um, correlated that with, if you're in a car that's rolling down a hill and you have no control of the vehicle, you're not driving. Um, so that's kind of how that was explained to me. As to is it clairvoyance, it could be. Now here's the kicker, and this is where people get a little upset with me because it could be. Um, well, if you are trying to see things, you could be tapping into it, but you also need to ask yourself, can you control it? Because just randomly trying to see things in concrete or clouds or anything, that can tap into your subconscious, which can project an image onto it. Um, Whereas scrying is more than just projecting the subconscious. I actually give my students real world things that they can test where they're scrying, things that can actually be cataloged. So, um, like again, it does sound like you're starting to tap into those facilities, but you also need to find a way to measure it and find out, are you actually tapping into the facilities, or is it your imagination? Because when we are staring at randomized patterns, our brain actually does want to try and connect the dots and create a shape with it. Um, this is the reason people see shapes in wooden patterns, and people find faces in toast, or doors are popular. Um, I think one of the best examples of this, though, is that where I grew up, there was a company that essentially did manufacturer style homes, and they used a very um, generic wood paneling pattern. So you could actually go to their housing and find people who would see this face in this wood panel, but that wood panel is in like 20 different houses, and every person would still see the same face. It's not that you're staring at it or creating it. It's and it's not that there's even a face there because there wasn't. It's just the pattern constructs that way. It's an interesting psychological phenomenon to me. That is one of the reasons we do need these journals, and we do need to track these things. And when it comes to scrying, especially if you're trying to develop it, don't just stare at something at random. Do so with a goal. Because if you're just staring at something at random, your brain can construct an image. Our brains are amazing. And that image may or may not just be, well, we just don't know, unfortunately. So there's not really enough data there for me to give a hard answer. And as much as I'd love to just, be like, absolutely, your arcane sight is kicking in, um, without, y'all know me, without data, I can't give hard answers. Do you ask a question? Different people approach scrying differently. You can ask a question, or you can put your focus on something or something. So, for example, in my scrying classes, and yes, for those who keep asking, I'm considering putting them on the school. I just got to find a way to film it, because scrying is a weird one. I actually have them scry a location, not a thing. I have them look for a location so that they can use the scrying device to scry a location, look around, observe the location, take notes of the location, and then they can even go check the location. And I also have them do this on a location that they can control and one they can't control. But the one they can control, I have them scry on it with a uncontrolled factor, usually a partner, someone who moves things around the room without their knowledge, so that when they scry it, and they can actually tell they're scrying in real time because they can actually see those differences. That way they can get tangible results on whether or not they're succeeding or not. And until my students can do that, I basically, personally, with my students, I don't count it as a pass. And there's actually a few of my students in here who are jumping through those hoops right now and making good progress. So, all right. Now, and thank you for the donation, by the way. Mugs up. Appreciate it. With that, let's get to some of these good evenings. Jade, good to see you. Anthony DeOrio, good to see you. Luna, good to see you. Let's see. Anthony, do you like that? You like the little emoji of me that Luna did? Vornoldas, good to see you. Angela, good to see you. Let's see. And Jay, no, thank you. Hey, I'm glad I could answer it somewhat. I'm sorry if it seems a little short and everything, because like I try to get as much data without answering. I try not to go too blindly into an answer if possible. And I do appreciate you furthering the details as I went. That really helped me. Thank you. Just so y'all know, I have had a very, very busy day. I've had like 3 hours sleep, so my eyes are a little blurry. So if you see me rubbing my eyes or squinting to see the text, that's why. It's okay. I am happy to be here for Magical Coffee Hour. See, I notice things in my bathroom tiles sometimes. Wing things and fey looking shapes, and notice they do change at times. Yeah, they can change at times. It also depends. The pattern, what you see in the pattern can change based on what your subconscious puts in there. But that said, also, if you are entering into a scrying state, you could be using that surface. I do know an individual who uses some reflective tiles, like bathroom tiles, as a scrying surface. I remember when I was working and doing paranormal investigations, I will never forget this bathroom. I hated this bathroom. Loved the woman who owned the house, but hated this bathroom. I see really, 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 really good in the dark. So I walked into this bathroom because I wasn't there for the original walkthrough, so it was already lights out when I got there. And the whole room just started spinning. I've never had anything like this happen where the whole room just starts spinning when I walk into it, especially in the dark. It made no sense to me. Nothing was oriented. So I had real trouble with this room anytime I walked in there. And this bugged the tar out of me on both a metaphysical and a scientific level, because there wasn't anything to make me remotely think it was metaphysical causing it, but I also couldn't figure out what physically would cause it. And it wasn't until lights on, when we went back into that room and I stuck my head in there, I realized what had happened. This whole bathroom, this lady had tiled it with mirrors, little mirrors. Every tile in this bathroom was a mirror. So when I walked in there, having what night vision or dark vision I had, but unable to actually fully make out colors and details, my brain just took in what information it did and just went, woo! Because every mirror is reflecting the other mirrors. And it's just like, oh, Lord, it was a neat effect. It really was. You gotta be careful. I'll never forget that particular room or that house. Great lady, though. Really nice lady. And we all got a good laugh at my instantly triggered vertigo from that one. Uber Pudas, good to see you. Yeah, Pudas, thank you very much. Yes, do give us the thumbs up. It lets YouTube know you like the work we're doing. That way, YouTube will show it to more people seeking it. Perhaps we can help more people get a little bit better control of their lives. Win, good to see you. Phoenix, hey, been a while. Good to see you. Few things. First off, Friday I announced that the channel will be taking a slight unscheduled detour because I'm going to be doing a Norse path working, and because of that, we're going to be seeing a lot more Norse content. And I even apologized for the unplanned, unscheduled detour. And I'll admit, when I announced it, I was a little worried because people don't like change. They really don't. Y'all's amazing. I had so many messages come in about how excited you were to see Norse content and encouraging me on this path working, and told me not to worry about the unscheduled change and everything. And that's amazing. You guys really are amazing. It is good to know that you all support me in my private practice and, well, me bettering myself just as much as I try to support you all. So I do appreciate that. Yes, we are working on that. Actually, we got a few of those videos we're going to be shooting, Jay. We're going to try and get the first angel video out November. I do apologize for the delay. Life has happened, and we've had delays on all ends, including the tarot class. Many of you have heard me pout about the delays on the tarot class. But yeah, the first angel video, it's ready to actually go full on filming. So there we go there. And I'm filming this week, so it should, I'm wanting to say it's filmed. I think we're filming it tomorrow. So, but the Goetia videos will slow down a little bit, but we're still going to be doing them because, let's be honest, the Goetia is just an interesting topic in general. And we will start working some of the angel videos in there as well. Let's see. Norse be like, winter is coming, time to work. Yeah, but they ain't got me starting until the new year, so it's interesting. I'm going to get to finish out my basically I have the rest of the year to finish out what I'm currently working on before I swan dive into that. But in prep for that, actually, I fell in love so much with the ability to have that. Y'all seen the altar cloth outdoor like beach towel that I used with the Dragon's Eye seal before? I fell in love with it. It's so durable. It's easy to clean. I can take it, throw it in a bag. And I decided that I wanted one similar for my Norse workings as well. So if you go over to the merch store, you can now actually find those with the rune circle on them, both the Melnjorn and the Volknot versions. I went ahead and ordered me one of both. So when they do come in, I'll show you all so you can see how they look. But those are available on the store if you want a nice outdoor durable working space. Many of you know I love it because I have the circle right there in the center, and then there's enough space on either side for me to put any tools or whatever I'm working with or what I've collected while I'm out in the woods, and it keeps everything nice, clean, and it's durable. So that is available as well, and I think I made it. We do have the neck gaiters now also with the Dragon's Eye seal on them that y'all requested. So there is that. So J Phoenix, I've been wanting to look at the Norse side of stuff. It's part of my ancestry. I would recommend it. It's really interesting. I didn't know it was part of my ancestry when I started working. That came much later when I found that out. So I guess that would explain why there was so much draw to it. I thought that was kind of cool how it worked out, but let's see. Angela, I just purchased a 7-2 Angels tarot deck with the names and sigils of each of the angels on it. Awesome. It's weird. I keep wanting to find me a good tarot deck associated with angels, but I'm so picky with tarot decks. I just can't find one I like. I cannot find one I like. And I know that's on me. That's not the tarot deck or the artist. It's just that's on me. I'm just real picky when it comes to my tarot decks. I wish I was not so picky personally, because I know people who have a beautiful collection of tarot decks, absolutely beautiful. And I do love to sit and look at tarot decks when my friends bust out the tarot decks. I got one friend, she will bust out the shopping cart of tarot decks. She has like this little traveling, to me, it looks like a redneck's fishing box. That's what it looks like. And she busts this thing open. I guarantee you there is 50 to 100 tarot decks in there. And she has them organized. And she will pull those out and start sharing them and showing you and telling you about them. And it is amazing because she knows those decks. She loves those decks. And the artwork is absolutely beautiful. And it's amazing to see different artistic interpretations of those. Um, let's see. Please. See, Angela, I've used it and love it so far. The book has an evocation in it too. Neat. Neat. That is neat, Angela. AT, good to see you. By Travis. I may look that one up, Angela. Thank you very much. Mugs up to you. I may look that one up. Give it a gander. I gotta be careful this time of year because I know it's like we're coming into October, right? But there's a lot of birthdays and everything coming up for my family, my clan, my goofy friends. So we're already entering the you can't buy things for yourself season. So I got to be careful with any purchase that could overlap personal interest with work interest because technically, if it's work based, I'm allowed to purchase it. But if it can overlap into personal, I got to be a little bit more cautious because somebody might buy it for me. It's hard to believe we're already in the holiday season. I know everybody's more focused on like Halloween, so we're not really thinking about it. But I mean, you wake up after Halloween and boom, right there is the holidays. It's crazy. Autumn, have you worked with angels though? Is there a difference of like their energy and how they work compared to the Goetia? Actually, yeah, I've spent quite a bit of time working with angels. And I'm going to say no, there's not really a lot of difference in their energy by and large. Of course, I'm using energy in a scientific term because energy is just a rate. Um, and then people's like, well, not energy, they mean vibration. And vibrations literally, there isn't good and bad vibrations. A vibration is literally just the speed something vibrates, and its speed doesn't make it good or bad either. Um, but angels are just as diverse as the goetic spirits or demons. In fact, you will find demons amongst the angels, and you'll find angels amongst the demons. Because they are ultimately the exact same style of entity. And when I say that, think of humans. Humans are humans, right? Whether you're American, you're Japanese, you're Irish, you're Russian, doesn't matter, you're human. And that's pretty much this separation. Now, where it got muddied is over time, this category of entities, religiously, if we didn't like an entity, even if it wasn't amongst this grouping, we'd take them and put them over here in the demons because we're trying to make the demons negative. And if we did like them, we'd move them over here and put them with the angels. So that kind of helped muddy up the waters a bit, definitely. The general, and let me state this, Autumn, general difference between them is angels are more very, very linking into the order based of processes. So when you're working with them, they're really going to focus on order. And because of this, their manifestations appear to come in slower and smoother, nice and smooth in most cases. Not always, but most cases. Whereas the demon side of that category is very, very chaotic. It's very spontaneous. And your comfort gets thrown out the window when it comes time to manifest. If you ask for it, if you're wanting it, if you're seeking to be a better person, your comfort isn't the process. The ideal is to get you from point A to point B as quick as possible. And I've given this analogy a lot of times, but I got a buddy. He associated it like this, and I love it. I love it to death. I really do. He's like, so angels are like the Japanese. Everything's calm and peaceful, and it's kind of got that balance to it. Whereas the demons are more like America. We're not going for style. We're not going to anything. We're just going for results. When in doubt, blow it up. I'm like, well, uh, I see the analogy you're drawing from, and you might be right. But by and large, they're the same. And I still work with both sides of the fence. I have friends on both sides of the fence. Um, and it just depends on what I'm working with at what time. I believe the particular angel I spend the most time working with is Michael. I know people have heard me mention that me and Raphael have or is it Raphael? Yeah, it's Raphael. We have kind of a sketch relationship. Him and I butt heads. But we're the two friends that we enjoy button heads, even though we infuriate each other at times. Um, do I know anything about Star? I've studied a little bit on it, Anthony, but I'll be honest with you, I don't know enough about it that I would even remotely consider me a source. Um, and definitely the farthest thing from a authority. Let's see. Let's see, Angela. I love them too. I have a massive collection, more Oracle than Tarot, but the Angel Tarot, wonderful. Using my Tarot deck, this pocket altar. Not a bad idea, actually. Not a bad idea. In the Tarot class, we're actually going to go into Tarot meditation and Tarot magic. Um, but yeah, it's there's a I don't know. I mean, everybody has their things that they seem to collect, and my wife makes fun of me. She's like, "You collect coats and hats," and unfortunately, I think she's right because I do. I have quite a few hats, and yeah, I got four, three. I got a few coats. I got a coat for every occasion, just about it. Uh, I don't know, Phoenix. There are some angels that are way more carnal than a lot of demons I know. I'll be honest with you. Um, a lot of people want to try and separate it. It's not that clean separation. I wish that's why it's like the cleanest separation between the two is order and chaos that I can find after working with so many for so long, not just the popular names. And even that separation, like I said, it's general. It's a general separation because they are the same entities. See, I went to sleep, and for some reason, I called onto King Paimon, and I growled. Do you know maybe why I growled and summoned him unintentionally? Uh, there's 1,001 reasons, Jay, that may have happened. And secondly, that's if it happened. Um, Dreams are wonky. They are very, very wonky. So, unintentionally calling an entity, there usually has to be an actual intention behind it. Otherwise, the call won't reach them. However, that said, that's not to say that they can't reach out to you. Um, However, growling and whatnot, generally speaking, anytime someone falls asleep or something and there's some form of communications, and especially if there is any kind of a connection there similar to evocations or invocations, either one, there's kind of a natural tension that takes the body. And that can actually affect vocal cords, airways, and stuff that can actually generate a growling like sound. Um, but the problem there, Jay, is there's like 1,001 possible things. I couldn't narrow it down and say this one. Um, my suggestion here is I would, me personally, if that happened to me, I would actually sit down and reach out to Paimon himself and have a chat with him, see if maybe him and I, if he wanted to talk to me, or if perhaps there's something in my life going on that he feels he could help with, those kinds of things. And like those cousins, yeah, like those cousins that drive each other nuts for the fun of it. Exactly. Chicken Noodle, what are your thoughts on shamanism? Um, that's actually an interesting topic there because I have worked with a lot of different shamans of different traditions and different cultures over the years. And I've noticed that a lot of these modern pagan shamans are trying to gatekeep and use shamanism in ways that the shamans themselves don't necessarily agree with. Because shamanism isn't like a tradition. It isn't like, the Goetia. It's not like Golden Dawn. Hell, it's not even like Wicca, where Wiccas have a very set tradition. This is our rituals. This is how we do this. This is this mixture for this. This is this mixture for this. No, what is taught in most shamanisms of more traditional bearings isn't how the specific rituals or magic is done. It's taught more how to connect and reach out and communicate with the entities and the spirits and the land. And it's something you physically have to do. You actually have to get out there and do it. Um, so every shaman's practice essentially ends up being a little bit different and very unique, even though they may have started with the same toolbox. It's a very unique practice based on what they actually do. Um, and there's a young lady on YouTube recently who she put this into words far better than I could. Um, Crap, what is her name? It's like Freya Norlington or something like that. Um, she does have like a Norse shaman channel, and I love her accent. But I occasionally catch her videos. I don't have time to catch them all because she really goes in depth and stuff, and some of her videos are long. But she did one recently on shamanism. If you can find her, I would recommend it. I may even try to locate it myself and link it below this. But she does a really good job of explaining it and talking about it. Because one of the things is you need to be able to survive in your environment out in the wilderness or whatever that environment is. Usually we associate it with wilderness. So if you come to me and you tell me you're a shaman and you work with nature, you work with the woodlands, but I can't drop you in the woods for a week and you come out okay, do you really understand the very thing that you're claiming to work with? Shamanically speaking, the answer is generally no, because you have to understand that. That's it, Luna. That's her. Freyla, yeah, Freya Norling. I love her video on that. She did a really great job. In fact, I've got a lot of my shaman friends who um, they refer to me as a shaman because of how much I learned specifically from the entities. And it's been an interesting title that they've kind of stuck on me, but I've never really thought of myself that way. I don't, of course, I guess I kind of steer clear from labels in general. A few of you know the name of this channel actually came as because I had to choose an email at one point, and yeah, that's what I picked. Who would have known it would actually turn into something like this? Oh, she is very calm, very, very calm. But her videos are very insightful. I can't say I agree with everything she says, but she is a very wise and insightful young lady. And that's one of the beauties. We don't have to agree with someone to know, to see their wisdom and their insights, because even insights we may not agree with can often bring us further insights to improve ourselves. Um, but honestly, I think I'd be hard pressed to find something right off. It's been a while that I disagree. So, I mean, I love her videos. Good stuff. See, for me, it's the cards. It's the card stationery and anything relating to various entities. I can see that. Let's see. When can you talk about what it means when you pull out a rune and it's inverted? Is there a meaning to the inverted runes? When? That's a tricky question there. That is a tricky question. So I'm going to try and answer this. I actually got my runes right here. Jade actually made these for me, and I've been putting them through their paces. But when you pull a rune out, it is believed, because we don't really know how runes were traditionally used in divination means. So it is believed that the rune is the rune is the rune. Which, if that's the case, that means technically the rune remains the same no matter how we perceive it. And it's not inverted. And that makes sense, especially when you look at the runes and you understand that there's a positive and negative contained no matter which way it's turned. So, on a very, very, very traditional basis, the answer would be no. There is not an inverted meaning to the runes. That is a more modern concept, much like the blank rune. The blank rune was something that was completely added in, very, very modern. I want to say it was like in the 50s or 70s, ballparkish. And is actually a bit of kind of, if I have a rock and it don't have a rune on it, it's not a blank rune, it's a rock. So I'm not a big fan of the blank rune concept at all. But when it comes to do I want to read a rune inverted, I personally don't. I know some readers who do because they find it allows a new layer that they can put into that. And adding that layer is fine. The question is, you got to apply it and see if it works for you in your readings and communicating with the runes. It's not actually a baseline tradition thing itself. In fact, if you go far enough back and look into the older text when tarot started up, went from being just a card game to being used in divinations, the tarot cards themselves didn't have inverted. Inverted was added later. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It was just something that's added. Things progress, different styles progress. So different rune readers will handle that a little differently. But me personally, I listen to the rune itself directly. I look at its position in the reading, and I listen to the full wisdom and meaning of the rune, and that's going to come through regardless of which way that guy's turned. So I don't personally use them, but I do know readers who do. Let's see. Luna, she's very calm. Okay, did I miss something? Hey, Drake, what's your opinion on hexing people? Pretty simple. It's kind of the same. My opinion on hexing someone is my same opinion on punching someone. I don't start a fight, but I'll sure as hell finish it. Same thing I told my daughter. And if you threaten me, my family, or anyone I care about, I got no problem hexing you. I don't. A lot of people's like that's negative magic. No, it isn't. In fact, you have to understand hexing and harm to understand healing. If you don't understand what's causing the harm to the person, you can't actually heal them. And actually, some of the most dangerous and harmful magic is actually healing. In fact, perfect example is I know a love and lighter healer who, with the best of intentions in their heart, constantly done healing magic to force their grandmother to hang on and stay alive because they're going to miss them and get better. But all they did was lock them into a state of an extra 4 to 5 year torment of pain and suffering just because they were too selfish to let go. But it was all healing magic. So if you ask me, even though it was healing, that would be one of the worst curses possible. And it's also out of pure selfishness. So generally, by and large, hexing and the like, I keep that to self-defense. just the same way I would any other thing. You have a right to defend yourself, plain and simple. No matter the category, you have it. Yeah, and I mean, I really don't subscribe to the do no harm, because if nature's taught me one thing, and actually my shaman friends have taught me this especially, if you do no harm, you become a doormat. So you actually have to have the capacity, the ability, and the willingness to actually do harm to defend those you love and to stop those who would do you harm. Oni Chang, good to see you. It does. I mean, and that's, that's, I struggled with the do no harm thing for many, 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 many years. I spent a lot of time meditating on it. And that was actually one of the questions I had during a shamanic ritual I was randomly invited to. It kind of surprised me. But the one of the shamans I didn't actually know actually sat down, and it was really cool because I hadn't told anyone what I was thinking about, and sat down very clearly and mentioned my totem animal straight up. And it's like, this is what I was told to speak with you about. And they actually like sat down, and I love the way they presented it too, because it's like, I'm not sitting here to present you and tell you here's the answer to your question. No. Instead, they gave me the information they were to give me and told me to go meditate on it. And I love that. I think far too many people try and go and tell, here's your answer. Let me tell you what you should think. But the way they presented it was, here's the information I was told to tell you. Take that information, meditate on it, process it, and figure out how it applies to you. And I really loved that approach because it did allow me to look over my values, the things I honor, the things I respect, and how I view myself in the world within my path and my practice. And I realized the concept of do no harm, to me, it's foolish. It is, because at that point you become defenseless. You become incapable of taking care of yourself or others. Because the simple fact is, there's always going to be someone out there who, they don't care how nice you are. Uh, Bob, can I use cord cutting spell to get rid of events and people who live in my head rent free? Okay, so you're saying you're dwelling on these events or the emotions or the instances. Generally speaking, no, and here's why. Cord cutting can sever an energetic connection. True. But if you dwell upon that connection, you can reconnect it just like that. In fact, I tell people, if you do a cord cutting with a person, don't have any contact, even over the phone. And this day and age, don't even text them for at least 3 months. Because if you do, inevitably, almost 100% of the time, the moment you contact them, the cord reconnects. It has to have time to heal, fully process through, and that energetic connection fully dull before the cutting will take hold long term. Hence the problem here. The problem here that you're going to need to deal with is you're going to need to look more into actual shadow work, because this is stuff within you. It's not an external thing. It's really in you. And that sucks to say. That sucks to say. Because the first time somebody told me that, I wanted to punch them. So if you feel like punching me, Bob, I understand. I was there. I was in your shoes. But dealing with the demons in our head, and those situations that just boil our blood, we're the ones hanging on to it. And 9 times out of 10, the people we're mad at, they done moved on, they're living fine, and we're the only ones torturing ourselves. Not always, but most of the time. A good bit of self reflection, shadow work, and soul searching is really the best way to do that, because you got to figure out why you're holding on to it. And believe me, did I have a lot of baggage in my life. I won't go into it here, but it was, and I understand it's no fun. It isn't. And I'm not perfect. That's why I do shadow work twice a year. I always end up with something I'm dwelling on. And those are the first things in my list for shadow work. When it's time to work, I take everything that I know bugs me that pops into my little cranium and just kind of, those are the first things I throw under the shadow work bus anytime. And ironically, some of them, I can go years without them ever creeping back up. But then, I don't know, one bad day and it'll start to creep back up. And I know I got to do a bit more shadow work on it. But by and large, it's pretty successful. I've been a much chiller, much happier individual because of it. But it did take me actually admitting that I was the problem. I was the one hanging on to it. Because I can think of a few, well, no, can't say that on stream. A few pain in my rears that honestly and truly, anything horrible could have happened to me. They wouldn't have lost any sleep. So the fact that I was hanging on to all that the bad blood and everything, that was strictly me. Sucked. But, you know. We are our own worst enemy. Mugs up to everyone who's, well, alive. Because if you're alive, you know what I'm talking about. You've had to deal with it. Or you've at least experienced it. Whether you've dealt with it or not, you've experienced it. Hopefully we're all dealing with it, right? Yeah, Leah, you are correct. It is interesting. You have to understand that these are warriors and entities that you work with, especially within the Norse. And it's amazing because we want to paint strength and anger and aggression in 100% negatives. But when a truly bad person steps upon the field, you're not going to be able to Care Bear stare them down. You're going to need someone that has the strength and the aggression to stand against them. And it's sad, but that is the reality of not just the world, but the multiverse. And that's something I've pondered. Because I remember me and a friend of mine once saying we wished guys like us didn't have to exist to keep the world safe. I'm not sure I actually believe that anymore. Because think about it. If you don't have a bad day, you have no measure, no perspective, no enjoyment of what a good day really is. And it sucks to say it, seeing some of the horrible things I've seen in my time. Absolutely horrible. But I think those horrible things are kind of like a gut check, an ego check to remind us just how good the good things in life are. Something I meditate about a lot. Bob, man, I'm glad I can help where I can. Yeah, you're right. Some people are real trolls. They really are. Oh, Angela, I love that. I absolutely love that. The north end of Southwalk, Kentucky. I love that. Kind of makes me think of a person I know. He looks at where we were at, the location we weren't allowed to cuss at all. And he looked right at our supervisor and he's like, well, the feces has just hit the revolving oscillator. And I just stopped for a minute and I was like, It took me a minute to realize what he had just said, but it worked, and he didn't cuss once. And see, that is it, Angela. You have to see what's out of balance to understand what balance is. Um, and one of the best ways I learned understanding perception and adaptation was to spend time on a boat, because I got to spend time on a relatively small fishing vessel. We could go out for about a week or something with the supplies. But needless to say, your legs, your walking, everything's adjusting to the pitch and y'all, the water kicking it around. And you literally spend a week on the water, you adapt to this movement. And then you step on land that doesn't move. And your feet don't know what to do no more because they adapted to having to adjust to all this movement. And now you just step on something solid. And it feels so weird. But yeah, you have to see those out of balance things to understand the balance. Well, I don't know your skill level, win-win, so I'm going to go with pretty simple but effective. I usually like to get me a piece of cordage. You can use any cord. You can use shoelaces, yarn. I wouldn't use thread. You want something a bit meatier than thread. My go-to cordage for anything is I buy 550 cord. I have spools of the stuff around here. But you're going to want to tie in it 9 to 13 knots, and you want to write up a phrase about binding this individual from picking on you or making fun of you. Phrase it as you need to write a short little 1 to 2 sentences phrasing it so it makes sense to you. And every time you tie one of the knots into that cord, you want to picture that person not doing the action while you state that. And as you tie the 9 to 13 knots, it's essentially a binding spell to stop them from doing that. And then you want to, what I like to do is I like to put that envelope or put that cord into an envelope, seal it with their name on it so I know what it is and remember. And you want to hang on to it. And if you've put enough energy into each of those knots, they should slowly stop doing so. Sometimes it even happens quickly, but more often than not, it's a slight teeter down. Yeah, just like getting off the teacups. Yeah, your whole center of gravity has just been spun around for 5 or 6 minutes, and when you get off, you're just like, ooh, you're walking like Jack Sparrow. Jay, I have had instances like that. Usually, I just tend to ground out. Or if I'm in the middle of a working, I tend to harness the energy and push it toward the working. As far as what to do next, it depends on the tradition. Different people view Kundalini practices and traditions very differently. Um, and many of you know I come from an energy is energy is energy. And the energy work that one does in like the Dragon Magic 101 course and Kundalini, they can produce the exact same results. Um, but yeah, as far as it, I guess the question is, what are you looking for? What's your goals? What's your path? Those are the kinds of things you need to answer because depending on the answers to those questions would highly depend on what you do. Glad I'm not the only one that finds the teacup's evil, though. You raised a lot of energy. That's all you did. You raise enough energy of any kind and store it through your body and move it through your body, that's going to happen. It's not Kundalini specific at all. That energy starts to just cause it. I mean, um, energy affects your body very similar to a stimulus, or it can raise your energy levels or it can relax you. We know this. That's what meditation does. So you can use meditation to wake yourself up. You can use meditation to help you sleep. So it's not unbelievable at all to understand that these same energy patterns could have the same effect as like caffeine. Like my daughter drinks no coffee. I know, right? Crazy. Who believes that crap? But she doesn't. Well, one of them. The other one drinks as much coffee as me. Now, let's say I took this cup of coffee, which is made for me and my tolerance to caffeine, and gave it to her. She would essentially experience a very similar effect, physiologically speaking. And she'd probably freak out and think she's having a heart attack, but not. But so it's the same concept. So at that point, if you don't have a use for it, I would just actually start working to ground yourself back out. Whoa, cool. So is this energy like pushed into spells too? You can push it into spells. Yes, any energy you can push into a spell, easy. Um, the day you do that, at least record it for us. Yeah, I might do that. I might do that when she comes home in November. We might give her some coffee and see what happens. She may join me in a live stream. Who knows? Maybe we'll give it to her live. I don't know about that. Last time she was putting things in my hat and everything else. Oof. Let's see, win-win. Since fasting is renowned for increasing metaphysical energy, would it make sense to do a lot of energy workings when fasting? That's a good question. And speaking of someone who did a lot of research with fasting and all that, many of you saw the little vlog entries I did on it. Um, it does hit a cap. There is a cap. And that cap is right around 48 hours, I believe is when the cap was. Um, for just general energy output. However, and this is important, however, you still have a finite energy reserve, and you can easily still drain that energy reserve even when in a fasted state. Easily. Um, and it also depends on the person themselves because, like, y'all saw my daughter, she's tiny. She's not 90 pounds dripping wet carrying a sack of potatoes. She has no energy reserves. There's no body fat for the fasted state to really start producing that energy. Whereas me, let's be honest, I could probably go for months without eating and still have no issues. Um, I'm fat. So I got the energy reserves, but I still have a finite energy amount. So if someone uses fasting in this way, first off, there's really no use to ever go beyond 24 hours for magical purposes. But you still have to maintain and manage your energy. And then, secondly, it's really the mental focus that's the advantage, not the energy increase. And here's why. Any magician worth their salt knows to not use their energy reserves, but instead to pull energy from external sources. Well, that external source is always the same energy, it's always there. Your amount of fasting will never change that. That's like saying, I'm in the ocean, having a cup of coffee is going to produce more water. Not really. The ocean's still the ocean. So if you understand and know how to manipulate that energy that's always there, you're not fasting for energy increase. You're fasting for the mental focus and clarity increase, which allows you to focus and utilize that energy that you already have far better, if that makes sense. Now, when it comes to the health benefits and the healing, I can't really get into that here because I ain't no doctor. I would recommend you read like Dr. Jason Fung's information. He's got a lot of great information on it. He's the author that I primarily enjoy. There's a few others, I just can't remember their name. So, and yes, Angela's right. Make sure you do it safely. And again, that's one of the reasons I recommend Dr. Fung's books. He covers all the different levels and stages and all these things. So, and I'm not even recommending it for people. You got to do your own research on that. Um, you probably could store some of that energy in water bottles or crystals. It will deplete over time. So it's one of those things where, generally speaking, it's so easy to trigger it and raise that energy. It's like, why am I going to store it? Um, I do occasionally store certain amounts of energy because even a crystal will not hold energy indefinitely. It has an expiration date, and actually far quicker than most people think. Um, so the only time I really store energy for use long term would be if it's a bad flu season or something. I might store it just in case I go down a little bit. Um, but I don't even do that as much because I found that like goldering urus, that rune, and just doing a golder spell with urus can get me back on my feet so much quicker, and it's so easy. So I've noticed over the years I don't store energy anymore because it's not practical. But you could. She might be like the Flash. She is hyper, man. I know y'all enjoyed watching her on here when she did do the live streams with me when she visited, but whoo, man, was she a handful. She is a hyper one. If I could find a way to market that energy and like bottle it into something and sell it, I'd retire. Hmm. Sparkling glitter unicorns. Oh Lord, she would love that, Luna. She really would. Uh, Again, Jay. When it comes to that, you're looking at the situation. By and large, when we talk about raising energy in the body, we're working on balancing out the energy in the body in ourselves. But when you're looking at spell work, you're raising that energy not from yourself, but from the environment. You're raising that energy to push into something. Um, and when you look at like a magic circle or something like that, its entire purpose is to work as the container for the energy you're raising in order to be utilized and given direction for manifestation or whatever work it is you're doing. Um, because our bodies do have a maximum capacity. Now, that capacity with time, like any muscle, can grow and expand, but they do have a maximum capacity. And if you're healthy, honestly, that capacity should be pretty leveled and stay there. Um, so, really, the main reason for doing like the dragons, well, there's like the Dragon Fire meditation and Dragon Magic 101. It helps to keep your body balanced and energetic and working. And it's like daily maintenance, if you will. And the same thing with a basic chakra meditation where you raise the energy through the chakras. It's doing the exact same concept. So, yeah, there's Jade with the clocks. Look at that. And yeah, we are at the end of that hour. So, okay. Everyone, I hope you have a fantastic week. I know I have a busy one coming. I am going to try and get some sleep tonight. We'll see if that actually happens. I'm going to try it because I got a long day of filming ahead. I got to get a few videos up and ready because I've been filming more for the tarot class, and we're so far behind. Yeah, I'm going to have to get some YouTube videos filmed and uploaded so we don't lose anything there, and keep filming on the tarot class at the same time. So I'm just going to be doubling down on a little bit of everything. Tarot class, at this point, I have to just eat my hat and be honest. I truly think that's going to be late. I will get it to you all as fast as I can. Bear with me. To my supporters of, I want to say it's tier 2 and 3. Anyways, the tiers that actually get early access to the class, as soon as it is up, edited, and ready, I will be announcing that to both of you within the either the community tab for members only. It'll be announced there if you're a YouTube subscriber to the channel, or the Patreon members, it will be announced over there to you. And just like the last class, there will be a window of time where you can take that link and be able to enroll before everyone else. So you will still get your perk. Just because life happened doesn't mean y'all don't get your perk. I promise you'll still get that early enrollment perk. All right, everyone, you have a fantastic evening. I am going to pop off here, check in with my admin, and then I am going to see if I can get some more work done. Have a great week. Stay safe. Keep your research going. Keep working. Remember, one foot in front of the other. Every day is a new day. It can feel slow, but when you keep that journal and look back, you'll see the path and you'll see the progress. All right. Take care. Good night. Bye-bye.